Hi, good morning. It's 22nd. This is Ride the Wind. I want to keep going on what I talked about in my previous two videos yesterday because I think we've got a whole lot of learning and a whole lot of things to look at. And ultimately, hopefully, in time, we can come up with some type of unification. Groups of less than 100 when this goes down. Back and last because in the first couple months, you're going to lose half your crew to plague, pestilence, whatever the case may be. So I just wanted to touch on that. That's just basic military knowledge. If you expect a small group of two or three people to survive through this, that's not going to happen. I had talked about the Giants yesterday, and I kind of wanted to reflect on my Air Force background and the things that I've seen. Been stationed from, spent my childhood in the back of a station wagon with my five brothers and sisters and my mom and dad. I spent about 2 months in any given school, and we get transferred. So I spent a lot of time fighting when I was growing up, sticking up for my sisters, which caused a lot of fights because we were always the new kids, but in ways that makes you stronger. Some people it hurts, but it has certainly given me the ability at any point in time in my life to get up and go. Like Texas back in the 90s, I got an offer from a millionaire up in Boston to come work for him. And I think I already explained that. It was a castle, the Cyril's castle. And just unbelievable responsibility. I used to oversee the shooting of commercials. I used to do the voiceovers. I used to do the times when they would hit the different stations across the United States. I worked with a production company. I ran 200 people at approximately $15 to $20 an hour, and I did that for 15 years. So you got, let's say, 200 people on the phone. They're collecting $15 an hour. That's not even counting your standard overhead. And you finish that first hour, and there's no sales on the board. Yeah, definitely the corporate world will freak you out. You can start screaming at them 200 people. You can apply the pressure. But in my many years, I found that doesn't work. And if it does, you got to do it. There's certain ways to do it, fire somebody in front of people, I was the Wolf of Wall Street. I had a partition with AT&T, meaning I had my own buy rate and I resold it. So I did telecom for about 10 years. My dad was in telecom with Northern Telecom. He was their national sales director. Okay. Bob run legions. Okay. And, again, I was the Wolf of Wall Street, and I made an incredible amount of money that led to a very dark place. And, my wife and I, which was one of my employees, which is my son's mother, I really got out of hand with it. It was just a crazy time. But I do want to let you know, I have a high background in telecommunications, which is the same thing. It was just hardwired then, with the same frequencies. T1s, actually I ran two T1s. I have my own, what do they call it? Point of presence, and you pay a loop fee. So I was basically my own CLEC also, meaning I was my own local phone company. I traveled around the United States. I hung out in Las Vegas with Gino Lapinto and his father, Frank Lapinto, who played trumpet for Frank Sinatra for 25 years. So I've been in that realm of people. That was quite a visit. I'd really like to take a video and explain how that went. But just some very memorable things. But again, it ended up in a very dark way because it was a lot of money, too much money. But I will say, out my office window, I had a view of the Constitution. If you've seen The Departed, where Martin Sheen gets thrown out the building, that was my building, okay? The Town with Ben Affleck, where they're robbing the North End. That's the Southeast, the Irish mob back in the 70s. They were robbing all the banks. That's the North End they're speeding around. That's right across from 423 North Wash, where Martin got thrown out the window. So I had the North End right across from my office, which was the coolest place, you know, the best Italian food. You hung out with Big Petey, Little Petey, Joey Bag of Potatoes, Jimmy Bag of Donuts, Jimmy Marinara, you know, and you smelled that salt air, and it was just, they were really good times till it went dark, you know, just like it did for DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street. I know how to write scripts. I do training manuals. I flew around the United States at $500 a day with all my bills paid, doing consulting. I go into call centers or marketing groups. I do all the scripting. I do my dog and pony show. I'd hop on a plane and I'd go back home. And I can tell you at that point in my life, my son was growing up Dakota, and it was just the hardest thing to be away from him on these business trips, you know. Just really hard. You know, there was just could never wait to get home. You know, could never wait to get home. Anyway, I wanted to follow up on my giant thing that I had explained. We were also stationed at Otis Air Force Base on Cape Cod. That's where the 9/11 jets took off from, because what was it? Rumsfeld sent them all on some turkey hunt that day. I hope I'm getting that name right. Okay, so I began to wake up 4 years ago. I'm torturing everybody in Texas. I'm working Facebook. They're sending me not your usual messages, but federal warnings. I did the messenger thing. I've actually worked Facebook twice, and I've been dumped and had phones fried twice. Okay, I had I think it was 500 people following on Messenger around the world, which was really cool. So I played that. And again, also I rode across the country doing the Daryl Wake Up tour, you know, because I heard the guys on YouTube having so much trouble being censored. I didn't want to jack with it. If anything, I was going to do Steam It, which is backed by the blockchain. But I'm not real crazy with working when, you know what I'm talking about. A friend of mine also, we were going to set up a crypto exchange company. He's a biologist I know up here. And, you know, I was going to get back into the contracts, make a back end up of what these people make as far as their revenues up of whatever coin per month. But it was basically going to be a bank, right? And the guy I was working with, you know, tons of money, his own coins, taught me everything. But just something dark about it. And what we end up going to be doing is we're going to actually be a bank. Well, I ended up finding out that this guy had a couple fraud charges on him, and that's how he stated it to me. I know how to run a bank. I've had fraud charges before. Well, right about then is when I backed everybody out that I knew, that I had sent contracts, that I had talked to about purchasing Bitcoin, and just yanked out of that because I didn't want to be involved with it. The ultimate thing, when the grid goes down, Bitcoin means nothing. Cryptocurrency means nothing. Okay, so anyway, back to my giant dream. And 4 years ago when I'm waking up and I'm in Texas and I'm trying to wake up family members like you guys have, and they're dumping on me and this and that, you know. And, you know, I couldn't take it. But I kept going anyway. But my issue is I was up here in Arkansas and I went back home and I talked to my mother. And I've come back up here and I've talked to her. And the last conversation she had with me was just flat, I don't believe you, Daryl. This is a woman who watches CNN all day, you know, enjoys chasing, I guess, like the rest of the country, men's packages and what they do. Just crazy stuff. Again, distraction, total lies. Now, while I was going through all this, and she knows about my travels and journeys, one thing she negated to tell me about is I have an uncle What was his name? Uncle Walter. Well, 20 years ago, he sent letters to everyone in the family about planets in 3 days of darkness. And she threw this out to me after she had beaten me like a stepchild mentally for years. I mean, you couldn't have thrown that in, Mom. Don't you think that kind of fits in somewhere, that my uncle sent a letter out 20 years ago to all our family members explaining the planets in 3 days of darkness, and you didn't feel that was relevant to say that to me? For God's sakes, I want to also tie into, I know all about genocide. And I might have said this before. There are civilizations, or what am I thinking? There are nationalities out there that feel like they got the short stick, and the Jews certainly did. But there was one group of people, which are my forefathers, who got a shorter stick than anybody out there. Okay. And that's why I think it's in my DNA to kind of feel that same annihilation is going to happen again, but it's not going to be Indians this time. You know what I mean? They're going after Americans. They're going after the world, and the agenda is there's too many of us, and 9 out of 10 need to go. Read the Georgia Guidestones, and understand what their plan is, because they're putting it right out there, and they've had thousands of years to work for it. Which also brings me back to the planets. We've got guys still out there, man, let's shoot the planets. Look at that. I got it figured out. You're never going to figure it out. You're not. Okay. These guys these secret organizations have been in existence for thousands of years planning this. They have teams of what I like to call Illuminati, cloned, evil, Nazi scientists left over from Operation Paperclip. These are quantum physicists who operate on different levels that we're not even going to come close to. The only guy who came close to it was the guy that Steve had on WSO. And again, that is the end of the story with the skies. You can point out whatever you want, but really what you're doing is showing Starlink, or you're showing the actual structures that are around the dome. Yes, I'm aware of those also, okay? And those are never taken into play, okay? There are structures up there, and there's lights, and there's a tower, okay? Very clear. Very clear, very clear. We are in the dome. Okay, so make no doubt about that. If you are Bible believers, you should believe that anyway, because it's in there. But it's kind of a pick and choose with the Bible. You can do the Egyptian part, you can do the Mason part, whatever part fits you. And that's why we're in the mess we're in. Okay, I did want to talk about Carswell Air Force Base and Jade Helm before I left. They were doing Jade Helm, which was the largest military practice in the history of our military, period. And I wanted to say that all that equipment that they ran across Arizona, California, Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, I want you to know they left all that equipment there. It's not like they picked it up and put it all away. So all that equipment, all those tanks, all those guns, all those airplanes, all those jets are sitting strategically where they were, and they didn't pick up their toys. They left them there. So why do you think they did that? Okay. So I just want to go through that part. I wanted to give you a little more background on what I'm basing my thoughts on. The comments that I've gotten so far, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And one special person, really special person to me, and I haven't mentioned her in my last videos, I'm going to call her Blue to keep her anonymous. That's the most special person. If you read her comments, she's Blue LaFleur, and she is a true empath. And she's godsend, y'all godsends. But she just snaps right to it. Not a question. Doesn't, let that primal door block her powers. It's boom, she's wide open. She hears it, and she'll back it up with her own retort. She already knows, That's what I want you all. That's where we're all going to get to. We're going to get to that point where we understand and we communicate. Maybe not even through video, maybe telepathically, because we do share a common thread. A lot of our awakenings have come from traumatic events. I know mine have. That will spark a Kundalini awakening right there. Okay, so if you've been through those traumas, you've been through those times where you didn't think you were going to make it, but by the Creator's grace, we did, you did. You're blessed, and you are being again taught. You're being quickened, and you are being trained to do the job that's about to come up. We are the people. So. I'm going to end it with that, and I'm going to get my stuff together, and I want to talk about the new CERN. At 10 times the power of the last CERN. These guys are the ones that are going to manifest destiny. They are the ones that are going to release the creatures that are within Revelations. That's what they're all about. But we're going to talk more about that. I had another couple of things I wanted to go over. But I want to say again, you guys taking pictures of the planets, that's all admirable and all that. But it's all figured out. It's done. You know, you're not doing anything new. Everybody knows what's up there. I defined in the very beginning that the sun is a porthole. You know, Einstein rings are a porthole. Einstein rings are sun halos. They appear in the same place in Google. But there's another spot that says they're ice crystals. So I know there's a contradiction there, and I don't really buy the ice crystal story. They are dimensional openings. Again, we got Mr. MRB33 caught one of the stargates. I just saw a video where somebody's talking about the dimensional sun. You know, really dig into it. You want to learn it? Start learning Einstein, because it's all covered by Einstein. And also study quantum resonance, which is the resonance that 5G produces, which is a quantum level as opposed to the fusion reactor level or the particle accelerator, the particle collider level. It's a different type of resonance, and within that resonance is the number 144, which ties into Fibonacci, but I'm not going to get off into that. But you know what I'm talking about. But I do bless y'all. I'm going to work today, and I'm going to try and get this cut out before I have maybe a downtime. So y'all have got something to work on, something to study, and something to talk to other people about that hopefully share our same unification of heart and soul and mind. I thank you guys for being there. I'm sorry I drifted off, but I feel like, you know, the pressure's rising on this one. Again, I come from a background of annihilation, my forefathers. So I have some kind of spider senses, and I have for the last 3 or 4 years. I've told you about the homeless missing. I've told you I've seen it. Believe me, it's coming, and the planets are here to save us. They aren't here to hurt us. And we can sit and work on them for the next 10 years, and you are not going to figure out what these boys are doing, because none of you are astro-quantum physicists. When you are, perhaps, you might be able to get your head around a plan that's thousands of years old, but I doubt it. So good luck to you, though, and good luck. But I would really think you might want to start looking around, and at the other things that are happening, which are much more pertinent than what's coming in to put us back in balance. Anyway, I love you all very much. I'm about to work on another video, and I'll have one back up here in a little while. To Miss Blue, I'm sorry I haven't replied to you yet, or your email. I've explained my issues, and you understand that this is very important to me. So give me a bit, and I will get to you. And I did hear the offer to Texas, so I don't know. You're in Houston. Houston creeps me out. So it'd have to be high ground. But interesting offer, and very sweet for you to say it. Thank you all very much, and you have a good day. Ride the wind. 144rtw@gmail.com. If you have any thoughts, any dreams, any answers. All opinions matter, and all opinions are relevant. Again, I love y'all. Hang in there. You're going to be all right. We're all going to be all right. Thank you. Bye.